Today's show on the Bible Show, a memorial of blowing of the trumpets. Memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. You know, God has holy days. God has holy days. It's not Christmas, it's not Easter, it's not New Year's, not Halloween. None of those days are mentioned in the Bible. Actually, Easter is mentioned, but it's not talking about that. Easter should have been translated into Passover. There's two arguments about that. One is that it should have been translated to the Passover. The other is they were celebrating this Easter ceremony even before Christ, because it's during the days of unleavened bread. So you got Passover, then the first day of unleavened bread, the 7 days of unleavened bread, and the seventh day of unleavened bread. So Easter comes in around about that time. So whatever they were doing, they'll call it Easter, is not the same as the Passover. The other interpretation is that this should have been translated into Passover instead of Easter. In any case, if you go to Leviticus 23, it'll give you all of God's holy days. And if you understand God's holy days, it'll give you an understanding of his plan for man and this earth. So let's get into it. Memorial blowing of the trumpets. What is this about? Let's go to Leviticus 23. We'll pick it up at verse 24. Leviticus 23, verse 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath. So this feast day, this memorial of trumpets, is a Sabbath day, just like the weekly Sabbath. Ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. Servile work means working for somebody else, or like you go to your job. That's a servile work. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. But that's it. That's memorial blowing of trumpets. What is this really about, though? Memorial blowing of trumpets. Well, you know how, like in the army, when you hear like the trumpet blowing, think about like the cavalry days or something. Even like today, you go to the army, when you hear like the trumpet blowing, there's different trumpet sounds that they make that give you a warning of what to do. Or you got like revelry, or and what's that one where they're taking the flag down, or the someone's funeral. They play a different trumpet sound. And even let's go a little bit further, not necessarily a trumpet, but you know, when you hear that alarm, like there's a hurricane or a tornado or something, you hear an alarm. It's a warning of some sort. So that's what this is. The memorial of blowing of trumpets. It's some kind of warning to let you know that something's coming. Let's get into it. Let's go to Revelation chapter 8. Revelation chapter 8. Now we're going to be going back from Revelation 8 to Revelation 16, because there's, along with these trumpets, there's going to be some vials as well. And even before that, there was like 7 seals they had to release. But let's skip down. I don't have enough time to do everything. We might even have enough time to go through all the stuff that I printed out here. But Revelation 8, verse 1. Revelation 8, verse 1. And when he had opened the 7th seal, those seals I was talking about, this is Jesus opening up the 7th seal. When he had opened the 7th seal, there was a silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. So this memorial blowing of trumpets is about these 7 trumpets. Let's go to Revelation chapter 15. We're going to start at 15, then go to 8, 15, 8, 6. Well, you'll see. Revelation chapter 15, verse 1. Revelation 15 and 1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. Let's skip down to verse 6. Let's get on to verse 6. Verse 6. And the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, and having their breasts girded with golden girdles. And one of the 4 beasts gave unto the 7 angels 7 golden vials, full of the wrath of God, who liveth forever and ever. So these trumpets kind of correspond with these vials. Trumpets blown, vials poured out. Trumpets blown, vials poured out. We're going to go back and forth with this. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 8. Revelation 8, verse 6. Revelation 8, verse 6. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the 3rd part of the trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. That's Revelation 8, verses 6 and 7. Let's look at this. I went to this website, because I want to see, okay, let's look at these plagues when these trumpets and vials are blown, and let's compare it to what's going on today. Let's look at what's going on today. So I found this website, III.org. Actually, III stands for Insurance Information Institute, III.org. And this is facts and statistics on hail. Facts and statistics on hail. Hail causes billions of dollars in damage to crops and property each year. Events involving wind, hail, and flood accounted for $29.7 billion in insured catastrophe losses in 2016 dollars from 1996 to 2016. This is not including payouts from the National Flood Insurance Program. So almost $30 billion, not including floods. According to Property Claim Services, PCS, a Veris Analytics business, there were 4,610 major hailstorms in 2018, according to the NOAA's Severe Storms database. So hail is a common thing. We see that hail is a common thing. And it looks like the Lord is using common things to destroy those things going to bring these plagues. I looked up something else in this website, III.org, for Insurance Information Institute. Wildfires by year. Because it said in Revelation 8 and 6 and 7, it said, and the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and it followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and there were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. Let's look at this. III.org, wildfires by year. 2019, from January 1 to September 12, 2019, there were 36,286 wildfires, compared with 47,623 wildfires in the same period in 2018, according to the National Interagency Fire Center. About 4.3 million acres were burned in the 2019 period compared to 7.2 million acres in 2018. So this is a common occurrence. It's like wildfires every year, not just in the United States. The Amazon's on fire right now. The people are lighting it on fire, but it's a fire. Let's keep on reading here. 2018, this is still wildfires. In 2018, there were 58,083 wildfires. 58,083 wildfires. 58,000. Compared to 71,499 wildfires in the same period in 2017. Well, at least the wildfires are coming down. In the same period in 2017, according to the National Interagency Fire Center, about 8.8 million acres were burned in the 2018 period compared to 10 million in 2017. Let's go to 2017 stats. In 2017, there were 71,499 wildfires. 71,499 wildfires. Did you hear any of this? You hear about some of them. You know, when there's like a big one or something, you might hear it be on the news for a minute, but there was 71,000 compared to 65,575 wildfires in the same period in 2016, according to the National Interagency Fire Center. About 10 million acres were burned in the 2017 period compared to 5.4 million in 2016. 2017, the year 2017 acres burned were higher than the 10-year average. So there's lots of wildfires. And this scripture said all trees, a third of trees and all green grass is going to get burned up. Looks like it's happening. It's happening right now. And this is even in the wrath of God. I don't think it even came yet. So think about when it comes, it's going to be more so than what we already have. Real quick. Space.com. This is NASA satellites confirm Amazon rainforest is burning at a record rate. The Amazon rainforest is burning at a record rate. August 28, 2019. The Amazon rainforest has been ablaze for weeks now. The fires have sparked public outcry as environmentalists blame loggers and ranchers for setting the flames in order to open more land to agriculture, serving a massive blow to the ongoing fight against the effects of climate change. So, verse 7 said, the first angel sounded, there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burned up. Is this stuff burning up like right now? Revelation chapter 16. Revelation 16 and verse 1. Revelation 16, verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. So we got the first trumpet sounded. Now here's the first vial. Verse 2. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. So when the vial gets poured out, then there's some sore that comes on man. So I looked up, I went to the BCM.edu. This is about infectious diseases. BCM.edu, emerging infectious diseases. The World Health Organization warned in its 2007 report that infectious diseases are emerging at a rate that has not been seen before. Since the 1970s, about 40 infectious diseases have been discovered, including SARS, MERS, Ebola, chikungunya, that's CHIKUNGUNYA, avian flu, swine flu, and most recently, Zika, ZIKA. With people traveling much more frequently and far greater distances than in the past, living in more densely populated areas, and coming into closer contact with wild animals, the potential for emerging infectious diseases to spread rapidly and cause global epidemics is a major concern. Additionally, there is the potential for diseases to emerge as a result of deliberate introduction into human, animal, or plant populations for terrorist purposes, as discussed in the section on bioterrorism agents. These diseases include anthrax, smallpox, and tularemia, TULAREMIA. You can go to this website, BCM.edu, if you want to read more about this. That's what like a pestilence is. Like you get sick, like some ailment befalls you, some disease. Let's keep on going. Revelation chapter 8 again. We're going to do the second trumpet and the second vial. Revelation chapter 8 and verse 8. Revelation 8 and 8. And read 8 and 9. And the second angel sounded, this is the second trumpet. And as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. Verse 9. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. Okay. Let's go to Revelation chapter 16, verse 3. Revelation 16, verse 3. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. Do you remember that that BP spill in the Gulf? That's just one of them. And that's still not even totally cleaned up yet. And all the fish and the birds, all this stuff died. Right? It was about a third. I don't know if it was a third, but this is like another example of the sea being poisoned. But let's go to oceanservice.noaa.gov. oceanservice.noaa.gov. What is a red tide? Red tide. A red tide is a common term used for a harmful algal bloom, HAB, harmful algal bloom. Harmful algal blooms, or HABs, occur when colonies of algae, simple plants that live in the sea and fresh water, grow out of control while producing toxic or harmful effects on people, fish, shellfish, marine mammals, and birds. The human illnesses caused by HABs, though rare, can be debilitating or even fatal. While many people call these blooms red tides, red like blood, scientists prefer the term harmful algal bloom. HABs have been reported in every U.S. coastal state, and their occurrence may be on the rise. HABs are a national concern because they affect not only the health of people and marine ecosystems, but also the health of local and regional economies. Now here's another one, WHOI.edu, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, WHOI.edu. The distribution of HABs, is harmful algal blooms, throughout the world, that's the question. Distribution of HABs, harmful algal blooms throughout the world. Several decades ago, relatively few countries appeared to be affected by HABs, but now most coastal countries are threatened, in many cases over large geographic areas and by more than one harmful or toxic species. Many countries are faced with a bewildering array of toxic or harmful species and impacts, as well as disturbing trends of increasing bloom incidents. So this is becoming more and more, it's on the rise. More and more incidents, larger areas affected, more fisheries resources impacted, and higher economic losses. The causes behind this expansion are debated, with possible explanations ranging from natural mechanisms of species dispersal to a host of human-related phenomenon, such as pollution, climatic shifts, increased numbers of observers, and transport of algal species via ship ballast water. So these red tides, this red toxic stuff in our oceans is on the rise. It's on every coastal city in the United States, and it's growing throughout the whole world. It's like red. The water turns red and it's poison. What do we just read? And let's go to Revelation 16, verse 3. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. These red tides kill all the fish and then whatever goes in there. There was just some warning, I think it was last week sometime. I'm not sure where it was, but some lake, a local lake, was poisoned some kind of way. And people, and there was a news thing, don't let your dogs go drink out of the lake. The dogs go and drink out the lake and they die. Let's keep going. Revelation chapter 8, back to Revelation, the third trumpet. Revelation 8, there's 7 of these. We're on number 3. Revelation chapter 8 and verse 10. Revelation 8 and verse 10. I'm going to read 10 and 11. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers, this is the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. Verse 11. And the name of the star is called wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. That might have been the thing with the dog. He wasn't going into the sea to drink. It was a clean pond, I suppose, that these animals were drinking out of and dying. And the name of the star is called wormwood. So I looked up wormwood. It's Merriam-Webster dictionary, wormwood. Let me see if I can find it real quick again. Wormwood, Merriam-Webster dictionary, wormwood. Something bitter or grievous. And here's Strong Bible Concordance. Wormwood. It's a translation from the Greek number 894, wormwood. As a type of bitterness that is figuratively calamity. Let's go back to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, look up calamity. A state of deep distress or misery caused by a major misfortune or loss. A disastrous event marked by great loss and lasting distress and suffering. Wormwood. So the rivers, so after the seas get poisoned with the blood, then the rivers get made bitter and they're poisoned too. Let's go to Revelation 16. Revelation chapter 16 and verse 4. Revelation 16 and 4. This is the third vial. We had the third trumpet, which was poured, the wormwood was poured into the rivers. Now the third vial. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood. Same thing. They're all poisoned again. So all the waters, though, the sea gets poisoned, the rivers get poisoned. So you can't drink. There's no water. There's like a water shortage thing going on too. Let's go to lentech.com. LENNTECH.com. Lentech.com. River water quality and pollution. A river is defined as a large natural stream of water emptying into an ocean, lake, or other body of water, and usually fed along its course by converging tributaries. Rivers and streams drain water that falls in upland areas. Moving water dilutes and decomposes pollutants more rapidly than standing water. But many rivers and streams are significantly polluted all around the world. It's already polluted around the world. A primary reason for this is that all three major sources of pollution, three sources are industry, agriculture, and domestic, are concentrated along the rivers. Industries and cities have historically been located along rivers because the rivers provide transportation and have traditionally been a convenient place to discharge waste. Agricultural activities have tended to be concentrated near rivers because river floodplains are exceptionally fertile due to the many nutrients that are deposited in the soil when the rivers overflow. So these industries and agriculture and people in general are polluting the rivers with the waste products. All this stuff that we got in the Western world, all these things that we have, when the industry make these things, a lot of us, with the waste is cast out. What do they do with it? They dump it in the river. And then like you got governments nowadays that are not upholding regulations or even reversing some regulations to allow them to do it. I heard there was something I read where they want us to start using nuclear wastewater. Like when they do this fracking, the water that they use to do the fracking uses fresh water, but it's polluted when it gets to the gas, and you can't use it anymore. You can't drink it. They want to start using that water to water the farm plants, the vegetation. So wait a minute, you're going to take the fracking water, the poison fresh water that you use from fracking, instead of just getting rid of it, or how are you going to get rid of it? If whatever you put it in is going to be poisoned again. And they're going to use that to water the crops that get sent to your grocery store, and you buy the food and eat that. It's feeding it right back to you. That doesn't make any sense. The same thing, there's something going on with one of these nuclear power plants. I think it's somewhere in Japan. Remember that Japan nuclear plant? They had that big crisis, but they got all this water that's nuclear wastewater, and they want to dump it in the ocean. They want to dump the nuclear water into the ocean, saying, okay, the ocean's big enough, it'll dissipate all the nuclear. No, it won't. You're gonna nuclearize the water. All the fish are gonna get poisoned. This thing is coming, man. Man is doing it to himself. Man's doing it to himself. Revelation chapter 8, verse 12. Back to Revelation 8, verse 12. It's the fourth trumpet. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. Verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe. That's three woes. To the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. So we're at the fourth one, and this angel's like, y'all got three more woes that's coming, man. Let's go to Revelation 16 and pick that up at verse 8. Revelation 16, verse 8. And read 8 and 9. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun. That is the sun. And power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. Verse 9. And men were scorched with great heat and blasphemed the name of God, which hath power over these plagues. And they repented not to give him glory. Now let's read. This is Earth Observatory, earthobservatory.nasa.gov. earthobservatory.nasa.gov. The world is getting warmer. Whether the cause is human activity or natural variability, and the preponderance of evidence says it's human activity, thermometer readings all around the world have risen steadily since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. According to an ongoing temperature analysis conducted by scientists at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, the GISS, Goddard Institute for Space Studies, the average global temperature on Earth has increased by about 0.8 degrees Celsius, and that is like 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit, since 1880. 2/3 of the warming has occurred since 1975. So since 1880, it started increasing. But then when 1975 got here, it really started going up. 2/3 of the warming has occurred since 1975 at a rate of roughly 0.15 to 0.20 degrees Celsius per decade. The global temperature record represents an average over the entire surface of the planet. The temperatures we experience locally and in short periods can fluctuate significantly due to predictable cyclical events, night and day, summer and winter, and hard to predict wind and precipitation patterns. But the global temperature mainly depends on how much energy the planet receives from the sun and how much it radiates back into space, quantities that change very little. The amount of energy radiated by the Earth depends significantly on the chemical composition of the atmosphere, particularly the amount of heat trapping greenhouse gases. This is talking about like with climate change stuff that's going on since man is industrialized, like cars and using burning fossil fuels. That's what's the heat's being trapped in our atmosphere, and that's what's causing the Earth to get warmer. They're saying. Let's keep going. A 1 degree global change is significant because it takes a vast amount of heat to warm all the oceans. It takes a vast amount of heat to warm all the oceans, the atmosphere, and the land by that much. In the past, a 1 to 2 degree drop was all it took to plunge the Earth into the Little Ice Age. A 5 degree drop was enough to bury a large part of North America under a towering mass of ice 20,000 years ago. So they're saying slight changes in this global temperature can have devastating effects. If the changes go down like 5 degrees, it's an ice age. If it goes down 1 degree, the north freezes, is what they're saying here. Let's go to climate.nasa.gov. Climate.nasa.gov. This is fast facts. Why a ½ degree temperature rise is a big deal. ½ degrees temperature in the global temperature. The Paris Agreement calls for limiting the increase in global temperature by the end of this century to no more than 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius. A recent study projects the following impact of a 2 degree rise compared to a rise of 1.5 degrees. It's about ½ a degree. Heat wave duration, rainstorm intensity, and sea level rise would increase by roughly 1/3. And we hear about thirds and all these plagues. By roughly 1/3. And sea level is likely to continue rising long after air temperature is stabilized. There would be a disproportionately greater impact on certain basic crops. Tropical coral reefs would be wiped out. The Mediterranean area's reduction in fresh water would double. So all these catastrophes could occur with this global temperature rising too much. It just like 2 degrees. That's all it takes. Memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. So now we've got these 3 woes that are coming. It's the 5th, 6th, and 7th trumpet, 5th, 6th, and 7th vials. Let's go to Revelation. Revelation 9, verse 1. I'm going to read 1 through 12. Revelation 9, verse 1 through 12. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. And to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Now, this is going to be the trees and the grasses, whatever's left over, anything green that's left over, because as we read earlier, 1/3 part of the trees were burned up and all green grass was burned up. So this says, and it was commanded them not that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, but all green grass was burned up already. Neither any green thing, neither the trees, 1/3 of the trees are burned up already. But only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Verse 5, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. So it sounds like there's something going to come on the men that took the mark of the beast, but it's not going to kill them, but they're going to want to die. But I guess it's something to be terrible, man. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh the man. I've never been stung by a scorpion before, or a bee, thank goodness, or a wasp. But I guess if you get stung by a scorpion, you have to get the poison goes through you, and it can kill you. So it sounds like something like that was going to happen to these guys, but it's not going to be enough to kill them, but they're going to want to die. Was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh the man. And in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So what makes it so bad? What makes you feel so bad that you like want to just go ahead and just die? But then you can't though. And that's crazy. Verse 7. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails that like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, that's Satan, whose name is in the Hebrew tongue Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. This is talking about Satan, Abaddon and Apollyon. Verse 12, one woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. So, I don't know, like, there's going to be like this war of Armageddon, and maybe one of the armies is going to have some kind of, I don't know, poison gas or something that can spray on the people, or I don't know, put it in the water or whatever. It's going to make them that sick that they're going to be wanting to die, but it's going to last like 5 months and they won't though. Anyway, let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Let's go to Revelation 16. This is going to be the vial. Revelation 16 and verse 10. Revelation 16 and verse 10. And the 5th angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. So whatever this thing that's going to come on these people, this 5th angel upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness. This is Satan's kingdom, like we learned before with the trumpets, Abaddon and Apollyon. He's the one that came out of the bottomless pit. So, and whatever this was, they caused these men to suffer. It's saying the same thing here, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. Verse 11, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. So that's the 5th angel, the 5th trumpet, and the 5th vial. Let's keep going. Revelation chapter 9, verse 13. Revelation 9 and 13. This is going to be the 6th one. Revelation 9, verse 13. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and jacinth, and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. All right, that's enough. So this is the war going on. There's a war going on. So men and men are killing each other and poisoning each other, and gassing each other, etc. There's a place of safety for the followers of God should be. Not everyone's going to make it over there. I hope I'm one that's going to make it. I'm going to try and make it over there. If you know the signs of the times, then you're going to make it over there too. You should be looking forward to. When basically is when the Pope goes and sits in the temple that the so-called Jews or Israelis build, that's going to be the time to flee to the wilderness before all this stuff starts happening, before the Lord returns. That's going to be the time of the Great Tribulation. That's when the Great Tribulation is going to start. And when these trumpets are blown, this is when Jesus is actually going to return back. But anyway, where were we? We were reading about the Euphrates River. So let's keep going. That was let's read 17 again. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their powers in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone, and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repent they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. So all these things, God is bringing these plagues upon these men, and they're still not repenting. It's even like today. Like we're reading this word here today. How many people are going to listen to it and try to abide by it? You still got people that's going on about their daily business, not even paying attention to this. They don't believe it. So even then, when this stuff started out, look at the stuff that's happening right now. We don't think about this stuff as being done by God. God controls everything. This is all stuff that He's having done to us, and we're doing it to ourselves too. Let's go to Revelation 16 now. Revelation 16 as well. Let's read the vial. Revelation chapter 16, verse 12. Revelation 16 and 12. And it's the sixth angel pouring out his vial, the sixth angel with the vial now. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Dragon is Satan. The beast is the leader of the Western army. And the false prophet was going to be the Pope. Verse 14. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. And behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Verse 16. And he gathered them together in a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. So these blowing of the trumpets is what this is all leading to. Let's read something here about the river Euphrates. It said here that the river Euphrates is going to get dried up, right? This is from SmithsonianMag.com. SmithsonianMag.com. In the river Euphrates. A recent NASA Germany government satellite study found that the Tigris-Euphrates basin is losing groundwater faster than any other place on Earth except India. So this river Euphrates is already drying up. The World Resources Institute, the US-based environmental group, has ranked Iraq as among the nations predicted to undergo extremely high water stress by the year 2040, meaning more than 80% of the water available for agriculture, domestic and industrial use will be taken out each year. By the 2020s, Mataz Al-Dabas, a professor of water resources and the environment at the University of Baghdad, said there will be no water at all during the summer in the Euphrates. It will be an environmental catastrophe. So this Euphrates River is already starting to dry up. So I'm just trying to point out here, the stuff that they're reading in the Bible, compared to the stuff that we're reading in science stuff. I don't try to go to any kind of like religious sites or anything like that. I just try to go to specific science sites to compare what these plagues are going to be in the Bible and what's going on right now. And it seems to be lining up to me. Now, I'm not saying that all these things have started. The day of the Lord has started. I don't think it started yet, but I'm pointing out that this stuff is already occurring. So the Lord's just going to turn it up a notch or 2 or 3 or 10. Okay, let's go to the Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. Revelation 11 and verse 14. 11 and 14. The second woe was past. Thank goodness, huh? And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Amen. Verse 16 and verse 15. And the seventh angel sounded. So this is the last trumpet. The seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. Verse 16. And the 24 elders which sat before God on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped God, saying, we give thee thanks, O Lord God Almighty, which art and wast and art to come. That's Jesus Christ. Because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and has reigned. We might as well go ahead and finish it here. 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged. So there's the resurrection here. And that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants and prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Destroy them which destroy the earth. Is man destroying the earth, this earth right now? This thing that they call climate change, is that being caused by man? Yes, it's being caused by man. And God is bringing wrath upon man for it. They're destroying the earth. All this fracking, all this poisoning of the fresh water, pollutants, they're destroying the earth. Verse 19. And the temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of the testament, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. There's some hail again. Let's go to Revelation 16 and read about the vial. Revelation 16. And we'll pick it up at verse 17. Revelation 16 and 17. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done. So this is when Jesus takes over. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake such as was not seen since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Verse 20. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven. Here's that hail again. Every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague and of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. So I looked up how much is a talent weigh, and went to his website, convertunits.com. Convertunits.com. Okay. 1 talent in pounds equals 66.13867 pounds. So can you see like a ball of hail that weighs like 66 pounds? A ball of hail weighs 66 pounds, like raining all over the place. They're going to destroy everything. This is the wrath of God that's coming. These 7 trumpets are warning you about the wrath of God coming, the return of Jesus Christ. That's what these 7 trumpets are. That's what the moral of the blowing of the trumpets is. If you understand these holy days that are in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, you understand God's plan. And you can go and read about them all over the Bible. We just happen to be in the season for the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. Then you got the Day of Atonement coming up, and then you got the Feast of Tabernacles coming up. And then it starts all over again: Passover, unleavened bread, Pentecost, memorial of the trumpets, atonement, tabernacle, over and over again until the Lord returns. And we're supposed to keep these days. They're not done away with, because this hasn't happened yet. Well, it's happening now, but when the Lord has returned for it to happen yet, it's going to be greater than this. Look at the stuff that we got right now. Like 71,000 wildfires in a year, every year. couple other places. Let's go to Joel chapter 2, the book of Joel, Joel, chapter 2. We'll pick it up at verse 1. We'll read 1 through 11. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. See, you hear like alarm when there's a tornado. It's an alarm. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is right, or is nigh at hand. I mean, it's close. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there have not been ever the like. Neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. This is this war of Armageddon is coming. It's an army, the 200,000 army that we saw. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. So this army that's going to be coming is going to destroy everything in its path. And nothing shall escape them, it says. Verse 4, the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and the horsemen, so shall they run. Then we read that in the book of Revelation. They had like hair like horses, hair like women, and faces like lions and horses. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Battle array, it's an army. Before their face the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. There's going to be so many that if you kill a bunch of them, it's not even going to matter. It's like they need to break ranks. It's going to keep on going. Verse 9. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army. Whose army? The Lord's army. For his camp is very great, for he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? The day of the Lord. The memorial of the trumpets is warning you about the day of the Lord coming. The book of Zephaniah. So you got like Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah. So if you go backwards, you got Malachi, Zechariah, Haggai, and Zephaniah. The book of Zephaniah chapter 1, and let's start at verse 7. Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 7. Hold thy peace at the presence of the Lord God, for the day of the Lord is at hand. For the day hath prepared a sacrifice. For the Lord hath prepared a sacrifice. He has bid his guests. So he's calling all these nations down to Jehoshaphat for Armageddon. He has bid his guests, come, they're going to fight. Verse 8. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice, him sacrifice everybody, that I will punish the princes and the king's children, all such as are clothed with strange apparel. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which filled their masters' houses with violence and deceit. What do you have now in this whole world? Violence and deceit. And it shall come to pass in the day, saith the Lord, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. Let's get down to verse 14. The great day of the Lord is near, it is near, and hasteth greatly, even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. The word of blowing of the trumpets. Verse 17, and I will bring distress upon men, and they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, transgressed the law. That's what sin is. And their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 3. Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. Let's go to verse 5. Woe unto the inhabitants of the sea coast, the nation of the Cherethites. The word of the Lord is against you, O Canaan. O Canaan, the land of the Philistines, I will even destroy thee, if there shall be no inhabitants. The Lord is coming. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8. This will be last. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. So this memorial, the blowing of the trumpets, is giving you a warning of things that's going to come. And it's going to be the day of the Lord, and it's going to be a terrible day. So all these people that are wishing for the day of the Lord, hurry up and get here, you don't want to see that, man. You better be in the wilderness somewhere and hid away from all of this. Thanks for tuning in to the Bible show on evolutionpop.com.